Herzlich willkommen zum Jean Monnet Podcast der Martin-Luther-Universität Halle-Wittenberg. Welcome to the Jean Monnet Podcast of the University Halle.
Welcome to this podcast. In today's episode, we will explore the African Continental Free Trade Area, short AfCFTA. Launched in 2021, the AfCFTA is the world's largest free trade area, bringing together 54 African countries with a combined population of 1.2 billion and GDP exceeding $2.5 trillion. The expectations of the agreement are high. The AfCFTA aims to boost intra-African trade, spur innovation, industrialization, and competitiveness. Projections suggest it could attract more foreign direct investment, generate 18 million jobs by 2035, and lift around 68 million people out of moderate poverty. Despite its ambitious goals, the AfCFTA faces great challenges, both in its regulatory framework and in the broader economic and political landscape of Africa. This podcast offers a comprehensive exploration of the AfCFTA, covering its development, legal framework, and future prospects. A look into the history of economic development in Africa shows that the AfCFTA marks a significant milestone in Africa's quest for economic integration. Dating back to the 1960s, after many countries gained independence, several initiatives, such as the Lagos Plan of Action in 1980 and the Abuja Treaty in 1991, were designed to further the development of economic integration. However, an economic crisis in the 1980s and overlapping regional initiatives hindered progress. Agenda 2063, adopted by the African Union in 2013, included the AfCFTA as a flagship project to boost intra-African trade. The agreement was signed by 44 countries in 2018, coming into force in May 2019 after ratification by 24 nations. As of September 2023, 47 out of 54 signatory states had ratified it. The AfCFTA Agreement establishes a comprehensive legal framework for the African Continental Free Trade Area. The agreement follows a framework agreement model, with the main agreement laying out objectives and principles to be built upon by detailed protocols through different phases of negotiation. The protocols cover various elements of the AfCFTA, namely trade in goods and services, investment, intellectual property, competition policy, and dispute settlement. The agreement aims to create a free trade area by eliminating tariffs and non-tariff barriers, fostering deeper integration in the long term. Governed by principles such as variable geometry and transparency, the agreement promotes gradual trade liberalization with different timelines for least developed countries. As a main principle, the AfCFTA relies on regional economic communities, short RECs, as building blocks for intra-African trade, recognizing their infrastructure and establishments. However, challenges arise from varying levels of integration among the 8 recognized RECs. Many African states belong to multiple RECs with differing obligations and levels of integration. While the AfCFTA aims to address these challenges, implementation details are lacking. Article 19 of the agreement governs conflicts with regional agreements, but doesn't provide a strong solution. Clear guidance is needed to prevent RECs from impeding continental integration. The realization of the AfCFTA's goals faces various challenges, including vast income disparities among its state parties, with Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa alone accounting for over 50% of its GDP. This leads to uneven utilization of the agreement and potential job displacement in less competitive economies. The AfCFTA Agreement responds to that by according special and differential treatment to state parties at different levels of economic development. Moreover, African countries exhibit limited complementarity in their economic products, heavily relying on raw materials over manufactured goods. Addressing this requires a coordinated industrial policy approach. Inadequate infrastructure, particularly in road networks, hinders intra-African trade volume and requires substantial public investment. Peace and security threats also impede economic development. Further, implementation of the agreement remains a challenge, with overlapping memberships in regs and unresolved technical components hindering progress. Unlike other continental trade agreements, the AfCFTA lacks enforcement mechanisms, relying instead on flexibility. Efforts to address challenges and advance AfCFTA implementation include the Guided Trade Initiative, short GTI, and the AfCFTA Adjustment Fund. The GTI aims to stimulate trade among selected AfCFTA parties by testing preferences. The AfCFTA Adjustment Fund aids adaptation to new trade environments, offering support for sectors facing challenges such as reduced tariff revenues. With an estimated need of $10 billion over 6 to 10 years, it provides assistance for worker retraining, recapitalization, and machinery procurement. To summarize, the AfCFTA represents a significant step towards intra-African trade unity, reflecting decades of development efforts. While it provides a comprehensive legal framework, some protocols and technical components remain unfinished, particularly regarding regs harmonization. Challenges such as overlapping reg memberships, industrialization, infrastructure, and political stability pose uncertainties. Effective implementation into national legislation is crucial. African leaders must commit to implementing the agreement and collaborate across domains to address economic and political challenges. While the AfCFTA's impact on intra-African trade may not be immediate due to the gradual implementation process, it represents a long-term continental integration project. If successfully implemented, the AfCFTA could lead to deeper regional integration, increased intra-African trade, and sustainable development, promising a brighter future for Africa. Thank you for listening and see you next time.
Dieser Podcast wurde finanziert von der Europäischen Union. Bis zum nächsten Mal. This podcast was financed by the European Union. Take care.